To another Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination sci-fi series, as well as the Umbani Chronicles fantasy series. And I'm joined once again by Jocelyn Short.
Yep.
She is the creator of Bearers, and she is a concept artist and illustrator. There will be links to her website in the description of this podcast when we post the audio. Also joined by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He's the creator of Eve of Insurrection, Eve of Reclamation. He just released Growing in the Garden. He is also the illustrator of the Ancient Illumination graphic novels, as well as the Umbani Chronicles comics. We're working on issue 2, wrapping up here pretty soon. And we are back talking more Loki. We're finally all caught up now because I don't think episode 5 doesn't come out until Thursday. So we're talking about episode 4, Heart of the TVA. So if you have not watched up until that point, spoiler alert for you. We open up with Miss Minutes and Renslayer stuck in at the end of time as it's still crumbling down around itself, it seems. And Miss Minutes shows He Who Remains betrayal of Renslayer and really of everybody in the TVA, since he decided to wipe not only her memory, but everybody. So he execute Order 42.
Good Order 66.
Yeah, Protocol 42. And Miss Miss even asked him, she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Wipe their memory." And so she goes from being the general that led the army in the multiversal war, and now she's basically relegated to the top administrator. And so, yeah, she shows her that. Renslayer is obviously upset. Miss Minutes knew she was going to be upset. And then she says something peculiar. We don't need him. Perhaps we never did. How did y'all feel about that? Was
All
weird.
right. So we know how we have all these variants.
Yeah.
I feel like couldn't she have just shown Ravonna another version of herself and that He Who Remains may have just taken advantage of? So it's
Possibly.
not really her.
Yeah.
So it just feels like it's all a plan for Miss Minutes to really strike back and get revenge against the He Who Remains because she got rejected. Um, so yeah, that's that. I feel like she's just trying to turn everybody against him or his plan. It's getting selfish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
You knew she was
about
going
her.
to be.
It's about her now.
What do you think, Jocelyn?
I think it's very interesting, especially considering what happens at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
I think that's very valid. Like, it could very well be maybe another Miss Minutes, another timeline orchestrating kind of all of this, maybe.
Mm.
Oh, we won't take it there. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I could agree with that, but I think she's integral to the system. She's part of the actual system, which is why we see later what OB does at the end. We'll get into that in a minute, but we see how his strategy kind of works. She's integrally tied to the system itself.
So, with that said, though, it could also be a possibility where, since she is integral to the system, she could have made herself, in this timeline to function and be operative and central to the TVA there.
Yeah.
While also there's another version of her existing somewhere else.
She could have a backup copy.
I believe that's a possibility,
That's a
but I'm
possibility.
thinking she is one of the constants like OB is. I
Right.
think there is just one of her within that's kind of, she's like knee deep into everything.
Gotcha.
We flash forward and we see Victor Timely entering the TVA. Why is my boy holding the handbook threateningly? Like he had like a grenade or something. But when I look at it again today, and he's literally holding the handbook like this. And I'm thinking, but he's holding it like he's got something he's going to press, an ignition button on and blow something up. That was just kind of weird. And of course, Mobius and Loki appeal to him. And so, look, I know what Miss Minutes and Renslayer has been saying about us, but we're really the good guys, and this and that. And he's like, I want answers. I'm like, what is going on here?
Did you pay attention to like the stained glass windows that he was the stained glass triptychs
The murals.
windows? Yes,
Yeah,
that he was standing in front of, and
yeah.
I paid attention. Which the one that caught my attention was all the different Kangs
The
fighting
multiverse
on
of
the
war.
left
Yeah,
one. I was like, oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, but I was like, why is my boy turning around like he's gonna blow something up?
Like he has power. You can't do anything. What, you
Yeah,
gonna kill yourself and take yourself out the game?
yeah. And Timely seems to be really preoccupied with a bunch of stuff.
This new world.
Yeah,
The
yeah. He's like, if I could just go down the hall and check out, like, no,
what
don't.
is
We have
this?
something to do right now. You can check out everything once we get this stuff fixed. Um, and then you see, I forget what the other general's name is in the TVA, and I now okay, it's the lady in the wheelchair. And my apology, I didn't recognize what was going on with her when we first seen her. And I think the first or second episode, I was like, what's up with her? But now I finally see the whole picture. It was just the way it was lighted made it seem really strange. But now I see the actual person that's there
You talking the
now.
other general?
And she kind of appeals to B-15, like she thinks General Doxnam can be redeemed and they can be brought back into the fold. And you can see that B-15 is kind of hesitant. Basically, because she was about to go ham on her. Dox was going ham on every timeline. Like, we're just going to blow all this up.
Purging it all.
Yeah.
Pruning it all. Prune it
Yeah.
all. That's what we do.
So, then we see OB and Victor Timely fanboying.
That was
all over each
awesome.
other.
I love that.
What's funny, but it does, Loki brings up the fact, like, this is a chicken or egg scenario. Like, how can both of y'all's work be based on each other when obviously one had to have existed before the other, and it's kind of playing on this infinity thing.
Yeah, they brought it up.
Ouroboros, yeah. I'm like, how Obi? Obi then gives us this mock-up like in Back to the Future
with Doc Brown, it's not done.
And the clock tower, but he's got these little mini models of the guy, and then they're arguing over who's who. Sylvie is proud that she just threw a monkey wrench and everything, and really is the cause of all this. Like, she's really proud of her contribution. I find that so odd because OB is like, someone killed he who remains, looks her dead in the face, and she has no shame at all. Yeah, she's just goofy smiling, head tilt. Does it matter? Do you think it really truly mattered who gets to go out and try and harness the loom? And I think it's a little too convenient that Victor Timely, that's how I have him in my notes, has the solution to the problem that OB's been running into with the loom. It's like, all of this is too convenient. I'm getting to think that this stuff is kind of preordained. Like, just like He Who Remains said, all this is set in motion by his actions. He makes it seem like Sylvia and Loki have a choice, but I think this is all going according to plan. And this is really reaffirming that concept of a cycle. I think this has happened multiple times. I think the TVA is set up to simply be destroyed and come back again, and the process starts again, which would make sense as to why the murals have been done over and over and over again within the TVA, but they seem to be building on the same structure. We see Loki prune the wall in the war room, and then it reveals the faces of the multiple Kangs sitting there in the mural. Like, they're just building on top of what's already there. This has happened many, many times, I think. What y'all think about Sylvie going off because homie wanted pie?
I mean,
that was so weird to me.
What do you mean? How was that weird? It was like,
because she had nothing to contribute. Like, you're the reason why we're here.
Okay.
You can't fix the loom yourself. So yeah, let's give them some space and let the people that are going to work on the loom work on the loom. Now, if she wanted to have a little powwow and plan what they do in case it don't work, that's one thing. But bitching Mobius out because my boy wanted some pie in that moment, which I do think there's a psychosomatic reason that keeps drawing him down to this damn pie.
To that pie? To that green
all
pie?
Of it. The pie.
It's weird, but something's off.
Cocoa, I think all of that is some weird mess that I think might be part of their regimen and partial memory loss, and they don't even know
that would be cool if they were okay. That would be interesting. But I mean, I think I believe that Sylvie's worries, frustration, anxiety that the world's falling apart. That's
Yeah.
a valid thing for her to be upset about.
Agreed.
Being that she, yes, she caused it. Yes, her killing the He Who Remains causes it.
I understand. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say I also understand her upset because like initially, you know, she did what she did and she was standing on business with her killing He Who
She
Remains.
took accountability for it too.
She did, and then exactly, and then you know she was happy to just go to be at McDonald's and chill and be like, well, whatever.
Trying to be the manager,
right? You know, and then they grabbed her back into the fold and convinced her to care, and so now she's like to see Mobius or be like, yeah, let's go get some pie. She's like, what? Like, what?
We don't know if this is gonna work out.
Yeah.
Everything's getting worse. It's like,
you know, she's confused because she's like, okay, I'm bought back in. I'm in. You know, you got me now. So like, why are you cavalier now? You know, and yeah, it was weird because I was just like, well, you just saw them lay out the plan. Like, what else? You know, what else we gonna do? Like, you know.
I think it's just I think it's his personality type. I feel like it's just how Mobius in general just responds to things. I feel like there is never this heightened level of like, well, there was moments where it's like, hey, we got to stop this, but still, I don't know. He feels like the guy who's like, I'm just doing it, like I'm doing my job the best that I know how.
He feels like a program.
He's
a program.
Yes, he feels very much like a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's stuck in the matrix,
Yeah.
and she even kind of brings that to his attention that he has that like he hasn't bothered to look at, you know, the other timelines and him being a variant and not facing that truth.
Yeah.
And she
But
had
she
to say
does
it.
seem to be the most cavalier of them all, getting mad at him for wanting pie when she was perfectly happy slinging some McDonald's apple pies for the rest of existence and just putting her
Those are
head in the
better.
sand,
Those are better.
pretty much. So
Yeah.
I understand that she'd be worried about the situation. I don't understand her focusing on Mobius and Loki when they really have no real contribution to what's going on with the loom.
I think that's what she was upset about.
Yeah.
Was just like, okay, I understand they have a plan. What's y'all's plan?
Yeah.
Y'all talking about some pie. Y'all the ones who brought me here. So, you know, I don't think it's entirely justified, but I can understand it.
Yeah. Then we see X5, aka Brad. My boy is trying to rally the troops and really so selfish because we all know he just wants to get back to his life. So it's like, we have no weapons. He's trying to rally folks, and ain't nobody trying to listen to him at all. Docs is like, can you please shut up? We know. And so he's getting nowhere trying to convince them, and then B-15 walks in and actually makes her appeal and then leaves them, ironically, just, and then she brushes off D90 when he's like, you know, what happens if they say no? And she's like, why don't you just go check on Timely, which ends up being the end for him, checking on Mr. Timely. And of course,
let's not talk about what happened to that guy. Let's keep moving with the
yeah. So after
the rebellion.
She leaves, and then somehow Renslayer pops right back in, which is this is becoming an annoyance.
Uh-oh.
With Renslayer.
What? Her ability to just come in and out and just freely travel?
No, the fact that nobody just takes her off the board. Like,
somebody kill her. Somebody kill her.
Sylvie knew what kicking her to the end of time wasn't really a final solution because her and Loki came back from there. Like, they escaped. Even though the means by which they escaped, likely Renslayer may or may not be able to execute, because I think she's the one that helped He Who Remains tame Eliathan. That's why that was like their secret weapon. So perhaps she has an in that Sylvie and Loki didn't, to get around that escaping. But with Miss Minutes, obviously gave her the latitude to just keep moving back and forth. I'm like, you just keep letting her come back for whatever reason. And they do it again in this episode because we know it's not the end of her.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that frustration because, like, it's not like her motives have changed,
Yeah.
at any point. Like, she's still been about the same kind of stuff since season 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So they get left alone again, and Renslayer pops up with Miss Minutes, and they're like, yo, I can, anybody who gets on my side and helps me get control of the TVA back will get their life back on the sacred timeline, which we know is music to Brad's ears. That's what all he wanted.
Go.
He was sold minutes later. He was like,
minutes.
I'm in there. And obviously Docs and her crew stand fast and they end up getting liquefied. I don't know if they're going to be like what's served up with the pie and hot cocoa in the system, and that's just how they're keeping this brainwash.
That scene was good because it actually felt a little traumatic and dark, and to see Miss Minutes in the background smiling was kind of funny. But I was like, I want y'all to just show up, but you're Disney, you're not going to.
You said you wish who would show up?
I would have shown the squashing of them, but Disney is gonna be Disney.
I was really hoping that, like, when
B-15.
When your girl comes back and sees.
Yeah, they should have shown it. They should right there would have been perfect.
Yeah, just even to see like the room splattered with blood. That would have been enough.
It would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice. Yeah, that would have been.
They're all sitting on a huge grate, right? In the middle of the room. No.
Oh, I did ask. Oh, I was thinking about that. Were they sitting on grate? They were sitting on top of grate. Regardless,
yeah,
they should have been. They could have just showed blood. Yeah. They could have just showed the remnants. That would have been fine.
Yeah,
it would have been Disney. It could have been Disney safe because you're not showing the guts and gore.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's what it was. Is that they wanted to illustrate what was happening without giving you the gory details, so you get to see it through Brad's facial reaction.
And B-15.
Yeah,
her reaction. I don't know. Her reaction was a little bit more. I don't know. Brad was he just seemed like he was like, like he was scared, but he's ultimately choosing survival, and he's guilty. He feels guilty. Yeah. But seeing B-15's reaction was like more cementing of like the terror. It added to the terror for me of it, but should have been better.
Yeah, B-15's reaction. I was like, I kept thinking. Like while I was watching his reaction, I was like, "There's no way you're gonna be like, okay with."
You should be shaking up right now.
Yeah, like there's no way you're gonna be able to be okay going back to whatever life you had, and like after you just saw, like, you're not. How you gonna do that?
Because he don't care. I mean, that his end goal was to get back to that life, and he's like, "Yo, whatever I need to do to get back to that, I'll do it." Like, who knows how many thousands, if not millions, of people he's pruned into the end of time anyway. So
I'm surprised he watched it though. Like, I'm surprised he didn't turn around, like, so to like not watch them be squished essentially.
Yeah. So after that, we get the scene with Loki and Sylvie, and Loki finally kind of sets Sylvie straight, and in a weird way tries to illustrate how he's seen her maturing process by comparing it to Thor's maturing process after getting kicked out of Asgard, coming back, and how he mocked him for like going soft, when Sylvie now is thinking because she couldn't kill Victor Timely, she's going soft. And Loki tries to tell her basically that's a sign of your maturity. And I don't understand, why is burn everything to the ground her go-to? Like, that's her go-to finishing move. Like, let's just burn it all. And like, you don't realize the things that you're trying to preserve goes into that same fire if you burn it to the ground. So your little wife,
she ain't never had no peace, and now she brought back into the fold with no peace.
Yeah. I mean, but she don't have a plan of rebuilding. That's the thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the power to actually rebuild the world.
She's on survival mode, like her essentially like whole existence.
Yeah, but you still have to have a plan to come back from that burning. And like Jordan said, she doesn't have that. She just wants to flip the table. And
which is, like I said, very trickster god-like of her.
Once you flip the table and there's no recourse after you flip the table, then I think you need to look for another solution. She's like, let's just burn to the ground. Even before she fully came back into the fold, she was like, great. Oh, it's about to go down? Let it burn. Not realizing, like, if you just let it burn, your new life that you found on this branch timeline is gone too. It's not like her timeline is safe and then she doesn't care about anything but that. And if that was the case, then that would make a little more sense. If she knew that she was in a bubble that wouldn't be touched by the burning everything to the ground.
You know what? Through us unpacking this, her character doesn't seem very solid.
Yeah. But she is apprehensive about, this is one of my favorite lines. She's apprehensive about, if we do that and we set things straight, we're acting like gods. And then Loki's like,
yes, we are gods though. Like, what do you mean?
I thought in my head, I was like, well,
well,
y'all.
But he said it and walked off. Like, I said what I said and bounced out the room. And that's I'm like, okay.
Which is interesting because it's kind of like, well, I have an incomplete thought, but
just go with it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like maybe it's like him saying that, like affirming, like, yeah, we are gods. You know, he's been acting in the movies and stuff as like the god of mischief and doing all this stuff pretty aimlessly, and now it seems like with that line, like, is he trying to affirm to himself or to both of them what kind of gods they might want to be, you know, like
more intentional.
Yeah.
I'm open to that. I'm open to that. That would be really nice. Full circle moment.
Yeah. And maybe not even like, you know, a different god entirely, because I what I hope for is that they don't take him away from being Loki, the god of mischief. I want it to be a Loki god of mischief that he defines, that's what I'm hoping is the aim of his arc.
Yeah. He's still hanging in the balance of what he's actually going to be, hero or villain. He's just trying to be hero for now. And that seems to be his shtick. Like,
I want him to be an anti-hero.
Yeah, me too. You got to become something. You get mad when people be like, you're a villain. Well, I didn't do those things.
I don't want him to be a hero. I just want...
Yeah, please don't. I'm tired of this.
I want him to be an anti-hero at best.
So they move on and they add Victor Timely's contraption to the whatever they're going to stick into the loom and fix.
What's it called? The throughput multiplier thing?
Yeah, the throughput multiplier.
that was the device they were trying to fix.
And suddenly, when Mobius walks in with a cup of hot chocolate, my boy gets preoccupied with the damn hot chocolate. You have a machine that makes hot chocolates.
Cocoa.
Did you say hot cocoa? I'm like, come on, man.
Cocoa. I was like the cocoa bean, like.
And it's odd. He gets this preoccupation just as OB notices that the temp pads aren't working. B-15 finds out that they've been locked out of the system by Miss Minutes, and now he chooses that moment to get up and need to take a trip down to the hot cocoa machine. Poor D90, he was sent to go watch over Victor Timely and gets pruned for his for his job.
It was messed up how he was so happy. Why did he seem so happy like he never had the hot chocolate before?
He might not. Yeah, he may not be that deep in the matrix, so he never went down. He probably hasn't had the key lime pie. He hasn't had the hot chocolate.
Bam! Prune. I was like, God, my man was enjoying that hot chocolate. At least he died happy. He had that hot chocolate.
It's a wholesome moment. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, he gets pruned, and Brad grabs Victor Timely, and then he's immediately taken to Renslayer and Miss Minutes, and he kind of smartens up briefly when you see him change his demeanor. But first, when he's acting all scary, I wanted so much for this just to be an act, and we were about to be on the precipice of a true heel turn, where he reveals it like he knew all the time, and he is he who remains. But that didn't happen.
Oh.
We get the full circle moment where we see Loki come upon himself from the first two episodes in the beginning, and we see that it is actually him that prunes himself, that pulls him out of the timeline.
I was happy about that.
So yeah, I was mad. I was disappointed that we didn't get that heel turn with Victor Timely.
I don't know. I know we'll get to it, but
I'm still thinking all this is meant to happen as it's happening.
Yeah, I believe
I
it.
can't shake
I
that.
just know one of the one of the Kang variants is responsible for this, if anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, we get to see Sylvie hotwire in the elevator because Miss Minutes has locked everybody out just in time to see Loki prune himself, and he basically tells her, "Don't worry, I'll be able to explain this. It'll make sense."
Makes sense later.
Then they, then they finally get the weird phone call because remember the phone was ringing as he gets pruned. They answer.
That was
the
a very
phone.
Matrix vibe, by the
It
way. It
was.
was very Matrix.
It was. So yeah, Obi Andy calls him like, "What's taking y'all so long?" And they finally shut off whatever it is that's stopping them from using their magic. And both Loki and Sylvie at the same time, like, "Shut it off!" Like, because
Reboot the system.
yeah. So then they're able to chase them around. She ends up enchanting Brad, who prunes Renslayer again. As OB is rebooting the system to temporarily get Miss Minutes out of the way. And before she goes, she has something to tell Victor Timely, "You'll never be him." Now, this could be taken a multitude of ways. Like you're not really he who remains. You're nothing like him. Or I could take that colloquially as like the young kids say, "I'm him." Like I'm that one that they are talking about.
I'm him.
Yeah, him. Or I'm her. If you know, or I'm them. You're you're the thing, and she's like, "You'll never be him." Before she glitches out, and then they rescue before they get that to that point. They rescue Victor Timely, and I laughed when they jump out the hallway. And he's like, "Which way, wizard?" They head down to the loom room after he's asking which way, wizard. Victor Timely demands to be the one to take this thing out and fix the loom.
You got to be fast. He said you got to be fast.
Not only that, but OB said it doesn't matter who it is. Why would you take the one person who has the? I have a problem with this too. The temporal aura, so that matches with He Who Remains. When I think that should be individual to a specific variant and their specific timeline. Are all any Kang variant has the same temporal aura and could just unlock the system because their DNA matches? That's
I mean, they should have just said DNA. Period. I think that would solve the problem for you right there.
Yeah, I'm thinking because the temporal is what I'm thinking from your time, from your specific timeline, should have the aura to unlock this, and he supposedly works. And my boy runs out there and gets spaghettified. Like
that was the greatest thing. I laughed so hard because I knew that was going to happen. There was too much excitement. They were like setting it up with the music like he was about to do something real heroic. And when they set the camera up outside the when as soon as the blast doors opened up and he started running, like he was really gonna do something.
Did he make 2 steps? Did he get 2 steps before he just started?
That was the greatest thing ever.
He just became a ribbon in the sky before he got 2 steps out the doorway.
I was like, I knew that was gonna work because I'm like, first of all, you're like just a human. Like I like it would have been nice if they had some more superpower do it. That would have given me more confidence how one of the Lokis done it.
Yeah.
But I knew that wasn't gonna go well. So I laughed very hard.
You know, and that's now that I think about it, that's extra confusing and upsetting. Because like I said, and I'm bringing it back to what we found out, like with the last episode of season 1, where Loki finds out he's got all this power. And I'm like, okay, can y'all use that here to, I don't know, push back some of that radiation or whatever?
Yeah, how about magic?
They literally could have used
magic Loki cocoon over Victor Timely as he handles his business. The loom blows up in the TVA, and you see the light coming towards them fade to black. And this is another reason why I'm thinking. Obviously, we have 2 more episodes left, and I'm like, this is a cycle. This is going to reboot. We've already seen some of the screenshots from other episodes we have not seen, and we get to see. Have you watched the trailer? No. There's a mid-season trailer. Go watch that, but it shows basically Mobius again and I think Loki talking to him, and he has no record. I think we're going to see Mobius on his sacred timeline as a jet ski dealer or some type of car salesman,
Yes.
because Loki tries to approach him and is like, "Quick, we've lost the TVA," and my boy is like, I think you meant ATV, and we just got 2 of them back in stock." Like he's trying to sell my boy some ATVs. He don't know nothing about no TVA. And of course, we know we're seeing Renslayer, so I'm wondering if Renslayer's popping up with Eliath and D90 because he just got pruned back to that into the end of time. So yeah, it's a lot. I just think it's to me, with more episodes left, it's like we're just starting fresh now. They hit the reset button. They've literally rebooted the system like a computer.
Yeah, I'm interested in what timeline, if there is going to be, what we'll see the next episode. I did have a question, just to rewind just a little bit. Where Renslayer got pruned, that was by what, B15 or X whatever?
X5, Brad.
Yeah, Brad. You said his eyes had glowed green.
Because Sylvie enchanted him. Remember when?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He walks down the hallway and it's dark, and you hear Loki say, "How about it, X5? You want to go a second round or something like that, or time for a rematch?" And when he raises his stick, Sylvie comes from behind and grabs his head, and you see the green power from her hands. His eyes glow, and then he just all of a sudden pops back in the room.
Yeah, acting all weird.
Yeah, he sticks his head in, kind of sideways.
I think I looked away at that part where Sylvie did that.
Oh, the hand.
Yeah. Renslayer doesn't quite know. She's like, X5? Well, what you doing? And, he's, oh, come here. And as he distracts her, the Loki and Sylvie grab Victor Timely, and when she turns around to try and stop them, Brad prunes her. And then when they leave, you see the glow leave his eyes, and then he's just kind of standing there looking dumb. But I'm wondering, does he recall what he did while under enchantment, or does his memory just go blank from that? Because he just kind of walks off bewildered.
Yeah, I would say I'm extra interested in like the next episode, just because like with how this ended, like because it blew up essentially everything.
Yeah, Big Bang fashion.
Like, I mean, because that would imply like, the Loki timelines, but like really, wouldn't it like imply like all the Marvel timelines, like everything is, because that's like time. That's like
I'm thinking,
or was it that timeline?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be everything but the sacred timeline.
Was that not the sacred timeline?
Well, no, they're everything, but TVA, remember, it supposedly exists outside of all the timeline. That's why time works differently there. So I think the only thing is going to be preserved. They just blew up everything, and then it's just only that sacred timeline. And in the sacred timeline, Mobius hasn't been plucked yet. He's still the used car salesman or ATV and jet ski salesman or whatever that he doesn't want to go to and doesn't want to see. But that, I think, is where he basically just relegates back to that timeline, and then everything is pretty much wiped. But for those that still retain their memory will have the memory, but obviously all the TV agents may not. And now Loki has to go about plucking them back out of the sacred timelines they originally were supposed to be in to reform the TVA. Maybe I don't know.
Or there may be no TVA.
No, I don't. I think it's just an empty shell there, probably.
Yeah.
And he's got his. Maybe it's him, like Loki, Sylvie, and OB. Like, because I think Casey, Mobius, all the other agents were plucked from their timeline. So maybe they've been all sent back to the sacred timeline where they existed, and nothing else exists. Like, so now it's for it to start over again and start rebranching. That's why I'm thinking this is just a huge cycle. This is a big merry-go-round that they're just forever to be on.
I hope so. That would make this more enjoyable. Be a nice resolution.
Yeah.
I want to see Loki do more cool stuff.
I just want green magic hands.
Yeah.
Which
like,
way,
I'm bored.
wizard?
You're like, you're not a wizard. You don't do nothing.
Like,
you just hold Sylvie's hands and release shockwaves of green energy. That's not enough magic for Jocelyn.
Well, I mean,
more.
I appreciate this whole storyline. I appreciate this entire plot line. I really do. But it's to me, it's starting to feel a little bit like Loki is a side character in the bigger plot of like the TVA and He Who Remains. So
Or he's meant to take over this. If this might be what He Who Remains actually wanted, because remember,
Wait for the
he was-
TVA to be destroyed entirely.
yeah, but he
Yeah.
also remember he was like, you can kill me and either wait for them to come, or you can take my place and start running the show yourselves. And they remember they weren't interested in that. They didn't listen to that part of it. So maybe this was another way. Like either way, I'm gonna make you run the show anyway, whether you want to or not. You can kill me, have the threat of the multiversal war starting up again with all these multiple Kangs coming, or you can simply let me bow out, do whatever the heck I want, and you take over and run the timeline yourselves in my stead. And so since like, and not knowing like either choice they made, it was going to end up with them rebooting the system and running the timelines themselves. And knowing that Sylvie was going to be reluctant and basically wanting to get out of Dodge, and somehow knowing that Loki was going to be like taken over because he felt like he had no choice. Like,
you know, and it's extra interesting if you like now that you bring that up, because it's like if the Lokis are meant to, or if he set it up for the Lokis to be made to take over the whole thing, and like say the show does have Loki's kind of story arc resolve to kind of still keep to the idea of Loki being the god of mischief and chaos, that inevitably the Lokis are meant to ensue in, you know, chaos no matter what, despite whatever efforts they may make to undo.
See, then Sylvie makes more sense. Like she can't help herself.
Yeah.
If I'm meant to be the goddess of mischief, and I'm supposed to sow discord and implement chaos, then this is all a part of just my being and my existence. I can't help that. You know, y'all started with me first because she was a little girl, not, you know, knowing anything. They tried to kill her and arrest her the whole time. And she just start going to every like Nexus event and blowing stuff up, making these disasters even worse than they were in season 1. That's why they were tracking her by these kind of weird natural disasters that were these Nexus points in time everywhere. So that's like, she might be like, well, this is my thing. Let me know when you're ready to blow shit up, because that's what I do.
Yeah, she needs to lean more. See, but she needs to lean more into that. I don't know. I don't know. Her character kind of flip flops and changes and shifts. So
I mean, but that could also be the point, you know. But that's what I'm saying. Like maybe, you know, that could be the point of her, and she doesn't know it, that she's that she is falling to prey to her own proclivity to chaos. And then maybe inevitably this whole arc for the show is that it's all meant to go to chaos despite whatever Loki wants.
Okay. Well, I hope she comes to term. Sylvie comes to term with that.
Yeah, and it's awkward too, because we've only got 2 more episodes left, and so now I'm like, are they gonna just dovetail this into whatever the next thing is? And that's really what it's a jump off point. So we may not get a full resolution.
I hate this.
Yeah, I mean, because we got a lot of ground to cover in 2 episodes.
No. Because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these shows where it's just meant to springboard into a movie, because they don't feel like real resolutions. They don't feel
they're not
at all. And I'm just, it's exhausting.
It's
My heart is
okay.
tired.
It's okay, Jocelyn. They're not that great. It's okay.
No, they're not, and I'm sad about it. It's stressful to watch not great stuff all the time.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. There's other TV shows we're gonna talk about that have amazing conclusions and resolutions. We're gonna get there.
So we got 2 more episodes. We'll see what happens next.
Nothing will happen.
Nothing's gonna You're not gonna waste our time. They're gonna waste their time on episode 6. They'll get to 7. And then they're gonna wrap it up, but it's not gonna be a real wrap up. This is gonna be a springboard to another series. I'm like,
it's just be like, time is messed up.
Yeah. Again,
Again. Whoa.
it was
Whoa.
it was Hank Pym all along. Like, oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
For goodness sake.
yeah, we'll see. It should be interesting and see if they actually wrap this up nice and tidy. But it's just a lot, and unless the episodes are the last two are gonna be super long. I think this one was like 40 something minutes before you get to the credits. It was like 44 before you get altogether. I think it was 51 minutes with the credits. But
Yeah.
yeah, so unless they're gonna elongate these last two episodes, which sometimes they have done to get more in there, they've got a lot of stuff to go through to see this reset.
I'm stressed out.
That's basically what it is, a reset, we know. But then how they're going to have that be encapsulated in the sixth episode and wrap everything up. Ooh. Or they might be teasing us for Loki season 3. After you destroy the timeline, like, what can you do after that?
Yeah, I mean, this
Like,
should
where
be
do you go
it.
from there?
They should just wrap this up on season 2 and not try to milk this. Just
We're done with timelines.
yeah,
I
we're done with all that.
maybe I would even appreciate if if the way this ended, okay,
Mhm,
the way
mhm.
that this episode just ended everything. I would even appreciate, because creation is born of chaos, that maybe Loki is the beginning of everything and he just by will of sheer himself existence,
His magic.
his
No, him and
magic
Sylvie's magical
births
powers.
everything all over again.
I think it would have been hilarious if this was actually the last episode.
That would be so great. I
And they
would
just
love
left
that
it
a
like
lot.
you have to draw your own conclusion. Wow, what happens next? We
Disney, I
really
didn't know
don't
you
know.
could do it. I
That's
didn't know
it.
Disney could ever do that.
I would love it if like the next episode just starts with him just like coming in hot like he always does, where he just and he flips his hair back and it just, he's the beginning of everything again.
Again.
Because he's the
Yeah.
arbiter of chaos and creation is sown through chaos.
Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll get it started on Thursday, and we'll be back Monday to discuss what happened Thursday in episode 5. Appreciate you two taking the time out of your day to chop it up with me about this. I appreciate the 2 lurkers I see, a little eyeball icon on the top left that we've had a couple people watching. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to us chop it up about these things. I will get this uploaded and upload the audio to Spotify for podcasters, and you'll be able to listen to it there. Don't forget to go to Raps, toughraps.com, and enter the Jacked Writer is our 10% off code for you health-minded nerds that like to go work out, get your t-shirts, and things of that nature. But we'll see you all next week. Appreciate it.
Peace.
See ya.
We out here.